decision. Uh-oh. Guys, can we get it? Thank you. Respect my decision. After last night, I've officially entered myself into the Major League Baseball fan transfer portal. Now, of course, I'm joking. I would never leave the Yankees, but they broke my heart last night. You know, I probably would be a little bit more at ease if the Saints and LSU would be winning or would have won last week. I might have been okay, maybe a little bit better. They didn't. I know a lot of you are loving that the Yankees lost. I know a lot of you do. But if you have any favor for your boy over here, just know I'm kind of going through it. You know? I've always, for 4 years, I've told you, hey, LSU, Saints, Yankees. That is the lineup. I don't really care for the NBA so much. So I don't really care if the Pelicans win, lose, draw. Don't really care necessarily. We'll talk about them, I guess, if we need to. Don't really care about it. But losing the World Series last night was a big deal. And you know what? What's interesting about this is pretty clear to me. What's clear to me is in a loss, things can be magnified or we talk about the real truth. You know, I've already talked about Bryce Underwood this week. I'm going to lead off in the Rufino's rants again today. Guys, I'm getting absolutely bombarded with people about Bryce Underwood. Now, you can either go to the forum, ayssnetwork.com. I've made my peace with it. I told you what I know. There's nothing changed as of right now. Secondly, to start off tonight's show, I'm going to try to ease your mind just a little bit. Doesn't mean that you're not in a little bit of a fight, but I'm going to ease your mind just a little bit yet again. Literally, guys, I'm telling you, it's the main question that I get. Now, I see Goat that's up in here, and he's asking the same thing with 2 comments. I'm worried about Bryce talk. I mean, well, first off, can you ask nicely, Goat? Then Blake, talk to me. I'm worried about Bryce. We will talk about it. But we got to be real with some things. And I think that there are 3 things in the Bryce Underwood thing that can be true. In case you missed it, there's been a lot of things being published, written about in reference to Bryce Underwood, the number 1 player in the country, LSU commit, quarterback, that Michigan has gotten involved. Guys, you can find any show that's on this platform. When we've talked about Bryce Underwood, I've warned you for months that this was coming. Months that Michigan was going to make a big push. This week, I told you that it's like LSU going after the number 1 player in their state, even if they're committed to somewhere else. You literally just did it last cycle in Don McKinley. Did you really think, and by the way, at that position, and a very much of a position of need for Michigan, their quarterback situation is very bad. So, did you really think that they weren't going to go back after him? Like, why are you surprised by any of this? Anybody being surprised in reference to Michigan, now that we're coming up close to a month until signing day, so what, a month and a week, so 5 weeks until signing day, did you really think that they weren't going to make a massive push? That's number 1. I do think that there's a bigger thing happening here, and I'm not trying to call out anybody, even though Dion called out on 3 today. I'm not trying to do that. Okay? But as I've told you, I am on repeat in saying this. I can't be more on repeat. As I said a month ago, literally a month ago, if you think that the Underwoods are not going to listen to conversations from any party about money until the day that they sign, you are an idiot or you're naive. I do think that there's something to be said about there are some organizations potentially blowing this up a little bit at the current moment more than it needs to be, right? Because here's what I get hit with a lot. Blake, you're too clickbaity. I get in debates on this all the time. You're too clickbaity. I'm not clickbaity enough. Number one, I'm not. I'm legitimately not clickbaity enough. But you put out, oh, here comes Michigan. You put that on social media, and then behind the paywall, you're saying, yeah, we still feel like it's LSU. Okay. If that's the case, then you don't need to be running that out there like that. Not the way that you're wording it. So you'll blame the local guy for being clickbaity, but you won't do the stuff to a national organization. And let me tell you this. I have a national show. We never get labeled as clickbaity. It's only when we do local stuff that happens. It's only by the small minority or a very small vocal minority who says something like that. Let's get down to the real situation here, because I am tired of answering this question over and over and over again on repeat. You're in a bye week, which normally means on Fridays and Saturdays that your coaches are going to be on the road. Where is Joe Sloan and Frank Wilson going to be this Friday, or whenever it is the day that Bryce Underwood plays? Where are they going to be? Let me tell you what I'd do. I would pay for when Frank Wilson and Joe Sloan get to Michigan, that they hop on a helicopter and they land at the game of where Bryce Underwood's playing. I would pull out every single stop. It costs you $50,000 to rent a helicopter. Who gives a Rudy poo? Who gives a flying Rudy poo? You're already in. I mean, speaking of On 3, they're reporting that 3 to 5 years that Bryce Underwood's going to make around $4 to $5 million. Well, if that's the case, what's an extra $50,000? I know that you have it. You know that you have it. A big advantage that you have this week and next, you can be in Michigan. You can see the dad. You can see the parents. I mean, let's not act like that's not going to happen. You can also, next week, when Underwood is supposed to, we'll keep tabs on it, supposed to be at LSU versus LSU and Bama, guys, you got to close the deal. I call the ABCs of recruiting. A, always. B, C, closing. Always be closing. It's the ABCs of recruiting. I know you're worried about it, but I also know and have told you as much over and over and over again. If you thought that Michigan was not going to make a final push at Bryce Underwood when that day came, that month is here. I think you're naive to what recruiting really is. Really, I do. So it's going to be the it's going to be interesting. I also don't think it's the complete end of the world if he does not come here. But here's the thing with this. Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly cannot afford to lose him. Not with everything that's going on right now. They don't have enough favor right now with the fan base. They don't. You know it and I know it. You know and I know that they don't have enough favor at right now with what's going on. So the bottom line is if they lose him, regardless of what happens, if that happens, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. Everybody is a little bit more timid because, as we talked about earlier this week on Tuesday, everybody's like, well, dude, Dave Portnoy, okay, he said he's come. Okay, well, then match it. Guys, I am done hearing about the days that you have a guy whose number one job is to raise funds. You have Austin Thomas to do that, and then you have Scott Woodward, who said that he loves recruiting. Well, y'all better start waking up to what is going to get players here. Let me tell you something else. You had a situation last week versus Texas A&M where you got run all over. Okay? Oh, I wonder if Demonic Williams loves getting that money in Oklahoma. Yeah, he probably does. I know that the team that he's on's losing. He ain't the reason. Guys, he's been a force in the interior. You really could have used him last week. Like, legitimately. Is that win versus A&M worth $1 million to you? Or whatever the price tag was? Guys, y'all are going to have to get over this shit. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to. Everybody's going to have to get over to going out there and dropping something on the table. By the way, revenue sharing is here. Guys, unfortunately for some of you, some of these, when revenue sharing happens, anywhere between $150,000 to $250,000 is what college players are going to make because of revenue sharing. And you want to sit here and tell me that we're not, they're college kids. That's the price of playing ball. And here's the last thing. Let's cut off or pull off the Band-Aid here for just a moment. Guys, do you really think that players weren't getting like $500,000 when stuff was underneath the table when they came here? Like, you really believe? Like, guys, I think of JoJo Earl as an example. When JoJo Earl flips the day of signing day and goes to Bama, and the young man's got a brand new car. Like, what are we doing here? You really think that JoJo Earl is paying for that car? Or his parents? Now, his parents came out and said, you were paying for the car. No, you didn't. I know that you didn't. Stop capping. Because let me just tell you how this business works. We all have friends. We all talk to people. And a lot of us have friends that are in recruiting staffs. Not just at the place that we cover. So we're going to have to get over that. I don't know what else to tell you. Oh, they're making more money than me. Well, here's the sad truth that you don't want to hear. The impact that they do on Saturdays and the impact that they have on Saturdays is in the business that they're in produces more money than the job that you're at and the job that you're considered to do. You make $50,000 a year, I'm sorry. I want to make more money all the time too. And if you want to send in super chats, you're more than welcome to do it. I love making money too. Everybody loves making money. But the bottom line remains is when you have $100 million business, $100 million, players are going to get anywhere between 12 and 15 to sometimes 17% of that. They're student athletes. And what's your point? What is your point? That's over with. It's been over. So when you subscribe to a forum, when you subscribe to this, subscribe to that. That's where the game is. So to wrap this all up in a bow to Bryce Underwood, the ABCs of recruiting. A, B, C, closing. Always be closing. So when you go to Michigan this weekend, I'm assuming, because I don't know what they're doing. When you go to Michigan this weekend, you got to always be closing. Goat into everybody, Goat asked that right as the show started. I saw his comment. I don't know what else is going on in the comments right now. But it's the number one question that I get. The number one question. What's up with Bryce? What's up with Bryce? Well, you're going to find out soon. The next 2 weeks is critical. Very, very critical. All right. We wasted a lot of time on here. See, Michael already said, especially with Portnoy barking. Yeah, that's where. I mean, look, man. That's where a lot of people has worry about it. Can LSU or will LSU come up with 3 to 5 million? Well, you better. That's a lot of money, guys. I can't emphasize this shit enough. $100 million business, and I'm just gonna tell you this too. This is, I don't mean this in a wrong way about equality, women's sports, other men's sports, whatever. Okay, but it has never been fair, ever been fair, that football that generates all that money that you make, which, by the way, if you make a playoff, you get an additional $10 to $13 million just in TV revenue for playing one game in a playoff. With that being said, men's golf, women's golf, men's tennis, women's tennis, if you can't find ways to orchestrate your clubs and build them financially, I don't know what to tell you. It's not football's problem that you can't make a profit. It's not. It's the athletic department's problem, how they make the money. But football has and always will run the show for every SEC school, maybe outside of one, maybe that being Kentucky. It's always going to run the show. And even then, I don't even know if Kentucky basketball makes more. It doesn't make more money than Kentucky football. So again, we get down to the bottom line of, if the kid is asking for X, you better go do it. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you before we got to really got to get going. Toby says, but there's Title IX. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Title IX is about Title IX from a, hold on, let me answer Toby's question right quickly. Toby, from a Title IX situation, a federal court is mandating and making universities and institutions pay revenue sharing. Okay? They're forcing them to. So football is going to have to be its own entity. Baseball, basketball is going to have to be its own entity. You know, I read an article the other day, I think it was from Yahoo Sports, talking about this is going to put so much pressure on Title IX. And with all due respect, I'm not trying to get into the political aspect of this. I'm not, like, I don't. But just so everybody's aware, brought up in the federal court system about overcoming Title IX was, what was the guy or girl? I don't know how to gender them. I don't want to get in that world. But the Leah Thomas situation, it was brought up in a federal court about Title IX being broken by the NCAA, allowing him at that time to compete for a national title in women's sports. So I'm not getting into that. This just ties into the conversation and how it's flowing. I don't make your own decisions. I could care less. But that was brought up. Anyway, if you're asking my God's honest opinion, you put something in my head and you said, Blake, make a decision. My decision at this moment, which things are always changing in recruiting, guys, they can change in recruiting like that. As I'm on this show, something could have happened that I don't know about. But I feel like you sit in a good situation. If everything else is even, which, I mean, everything else at the current moment is even. I'm throwing you a massive hint there. Massive hint. Anyway, I think you're going to be fine. All right. Let's get moving. Everybody do me a favor. Hit the like and share if you're on Facebook. Share to all those groups, social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friends over at J&J Exterminating, and our good buddy Tyler Alexander, who's been out to multiple LSU baseball scrimmages. We might have to bring Tyler on here and let you get to know him. And then he can say he's a really big baseball guy. What is he seeing with this LSU baseball team? We might need to do that. Let me tell you, too, about our good friends over at Cherry Bundy. Guys, cherrybundy.com. If you need help with recovery, you need to go over there. If you're lifting, you're just sore and need help in recovery, cherrybundy.com is the place to go. 66 of 67 college or P4 institutions and universities use Cherry Bundy for recovery. The tart cherries have antioxidants that help with sleep, recovery, and autoimmune stuff. Cherrybundy.com. That's cherrybundy.com. Let them know that Blake sent you on by. All right, let's get to it. We're back next. We got lots to discuss. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Toby says, I have a son that is at LSU and is a club team because of Title IX. Peace, brother. All right. Toby, I am sorry that you think that, or maybe you felt as if that I'm coming down on your son or club teams or he's there because of Title IX. Okay. The problem with that is you're taking it as a personal shot because your son's doing something. I have children. But let me tell you what else I wouldn't want for my son if he was a football player. If my son was a football player, it's not also fair to him that this has been allowed to go on. It hasn't. So if y'all are going to argue with me, debate with me, that's fine. You're getting upset on something that I said about Title IX. The bottom line becomes, it doesn't matter what I say. It does not matter what I say when it goes to a federal court system and it's brought up. Maybe some of you need to read a book. You think that I'm just coming out here not reading and like just shooting off the hip. That's not happening. It's not happening. So I'm sorry you feel that way. I really am sorry that you feel that way. But that is like and Toby's not the only one. This isn't a shot at Toby whatsoever, okay? But and Toby, this is not a shot at you. I'm just saying, listen, it's coming. Whether we like it or not, it's coming. Women's basketball. Okay. ESPN, with the money that they're giving to women's basketball, is showing you that they want it around. They're going to make it a profitable sport. Or at worst, they're going to cut it even for the Big Ten, SEC, ACC. They're going to do it for them. All right. Coming out of the bye week, there are going to be 5 massive questions that I have about LSU. 5 massive questions that I have for them. Let's get to a couple of them. You know, on these days, on Thursdays, normally, and if you're watching the clip, I'm sure it comes out on Friday, but normally we do keys to victory on Thursdays. But instead of us doing that, clearly because I'm going to do that next Thursday when we talk about Alabama, there are 5 questions that I have about LSU. So as LSU as a team reflects on everything that they're doing, how do we get the run game better? How do we do this better? Can we continue to do this and get it even better so that we can win football games? As they reflect, let's let us reflect. That's what we're going to do. Because there are 5 points that I want to see, make, and look at and see if this team can overcome coming out of a second bye week. You know, normally in football seasons, you only get one. This would be your only bye week. So then you would really get a time to reflect on your team. What has been going on in that building this week? What is the morale of the team this week? Four Thursdays ago, LSU had a bye week. And came out here and I told you that every single time that LSU has a bye, it worries me because I make a phone call always on Thursdays. What's it been like this week? And what it's been like this week is what was told to me, the bullshit kind of went out the locker room. Right? Like, meaning everything that really didn't matter or doesn't matter left. It left. That everybody seems to now saying, hey, we had talked about this for months. We had talked about this with you with Brian Kelly. We talked about it in January when you're going into a off-season workout system. Like, hey, man, listen, everything can be fine and dandy right now. But when you get in that season, how are you going to overcome the adversity? Same's going on in Alabama right now. Excuse me, I'm fighting a little bit of a cold or sinuses, whatever, so I apologize. Excuse me. How are you going to get better? Can you get better in a bye week? How do you self-reflect yourself? So here are the 5 things that I want to talk about or I want to know coming out of the bye week, seeing against Alabama if some things can change. Guys, the number one thing that I want to see coming out of a bye week. How tough are you as a football team? And I'm not talking about mentally. I'm literally talking about physically. How tough are you as a team physically? You know, I feel as if that we are finessing our way to wins. Now, I don't mind how you get wins. I want to make that very much well known. If you win by throwing it all over the place, or if you win by running it all over the place, I could care less. Defensively, if you send pressure and you're really physical on the line of scrimmage, or you just what LSU normally did in its infancy, or not in its infancy, but what LSU did in their reemergence in 2000, brother, you had more DBs that were out there knocking heads off and covering dudes, that it was lockdown city in Baton Rouge when you played the Tigers. I don't care how you win and how you do things. But one thing that is apparent to me on film is that when you play a physical football team, they are going to out-tough you. That is an indication, not so much all on Brian Kelly. Now, let me say this. Brian Kelly hires the strength and conditioning staff. So it is a reflection on him. So I'm not completely trying to push this away from him. This is a 100% reflection. The toughness of your team is a direct reflection of a strength and conditioning staff. Now, we don't talk about Jake Flynn enough. We don't talk about how in year one in 2022 that the team was a very physical football team. Guys, every single running back, 5 of them, all 5 running backs, including a quarterback, ran for over 5 yards a carry. Guys, that's championship level rushing offense. It is. You're lining up and busting somebody in the mouth. And an unsung hero in that whole stretch was a guy by the name of Anthony Bradford that we don't ever talk about. By the way, he's still a mauler right now in the NFL. Strength and conditioning. You know, I ask myself, if I'm Jake Flint, how am I reflecting? How am I mentally trying to get this team prepared for what needs to be a playoff run? I don't know if you can reflect that in 1 week. I don't know how tough you can get in 1 week. But guys, the 2 styles that really have given you problems defensively, let's talk about them. What are the 2 teams that scored over 30 points on you? What did they do? Oh, well, they're lining up and running right at you football teams. They're physical on both lines of scrimmage. So, wait a minute. The only constant issue here is that teams that want to line up and run it right at you have been able to run it up and run it right at you. I look at South Carolina. I look at Texas A&M. The difference here is that Tommy Moffitt's at A&M, and I think that we know that Tommy Moffitt teams are normally pretty damn tough. It's also got to be a self-reflection in the mirror for you as a team. Guys, I don't think – look, I hope I do get clipped on this. And somebody puts it on some hype video because they're like, this isn't happening. It is happening. There's nothing more that I love. Personally, I love teams like Michigan last year. Brother, listen, we're going to line it up and run it right at your ass, whether you like it or not. Guys, there is something to be said about a team that goes, watch this shit. Oh, you think you're going to beat us? Well, I'm going to line up in 12 personnel out of the pistol, and I'm going to run it right at you. And then when you think that you're stopping it, which you're really kind of not because we're still running at 3-4 yards a carry, we're going to play action and throw it on you. Guys, those teams are impossible to beat at times. That's why Michigan won a national title. That's why Georgia, who was doing it too, they won a national title. And even though Joe Burrow and that 2020 Alabama team, a lot of people talked about how much they threw the football. Guys, what did they do very effectively? You know, I think of the 3rd and 1 that Joe Burrow converted 5 years ago against Alabama. What did he do? He pulled it and ran it. Heisman moment. What did Clyde Edwards-Helaire do in the first half? Well, Blake, he scored 2 touchdowns, and he ran for over 1,200 yards. Yeah, he did. Now, you are a great offense all around, and that's neither here nor there. But when you needed to, you know that you could line it up and bust them in their ass. You can't do that right now. I don't know if it's in the interior of the offensive line. I don't know if it's play calling. And you can make your own determination based off of what you believe. But what I believe is that it's a mixture of a lot of things. It's like a good gumbo. What's wrong with you? Or bad gumbo. What's wrong with your offensive line and what's wrong with your running game? It's like a gumbo you get out of a can. Do gumbos come in cans? I've never had canned gumbo. I don't even know where it comes from. It's like a bad cafeteria gumbo. It's a mixture of a lot of bad things that are going on. However, I do think that you have the talent to be a physical football team. There comes a mental side of this, a mental side of things. Guys, your two offensive tackles have jumped off. Jumped off sides, false starts. It's not mentally, and that's not mentally tough. Physically, I question how tough you can be. I don't know if you can get it in a week. But what I do know is that when you can just line it up and run it right at somebody like A&M is doing, guys, and I got to be real with you. Here's the truth too. Want to know why you won the SEC West in year one? Let's call it what it is. I know that you had a quarterback that went off and can run. Guys, how many times did you line up on 3rd and 2 and convert on 3rd downs because you could run the football right at them and smack them right in the mouth? Teams would look right at you and you'd smack them right in the mouth. You did that shit a lot, especially on the goal line. Noah Cain was the 4th running back on that team and had double-digit touchdowns. You would line up and bust somebody in their mouth. I'll never forget this either. Remember, you had a 3rd and 7, and you went in 12 personnel against Bama 2 years ago, and Josh Williams ran over a dude. And got a 1st down. The next play, Jane Daniels throws a corner route, which is actually, ironically, the picture that we put up on here, threw it in the back of the end zone, bang, touchdown. Now, and I'm only on point 1, and we're 40 minutes into the show. You got to be more physical. How tough are you? That question's going to get that question has been answered to some extent. You got one final shot to show the world how physical of a team you can be. How prepared of a team are you? I do think that Brian Kelly, from a philosophy standpoint, let me give the coaching staff a little bit of slack on one massive thing because I've been getting on their ass all week. Let me tell you one thing that I think that they have actually done, or I think that they prepared to try to do that didn't work. I think that you're missing a lot of stuff in the intermediate pass game. Actually, I know that you're missing a lot of stuff in the intermediate pass game. So the game plan that Brian Kelly orchestrated should have worked against A&M. It worked in the first half. Because how does your offense do what they did? The defense didn't change. There's nothing defensively that changed from the first half with A&M to the second half. Nothing. Momentum changed. The pressure on you changed. And it's why I get to number 2. How prepared of a football team are you? How are you in the building as a football player when you've been missing assignments and going over things that you missed? Like when you have a defense that can't, for a lack of better terms, when they're missing that many assignments, quarterback, run game, offensive line, number one, they're probably not getting coached the way that they need to be coached. But there comes a part 2, and I'll say this every time. I did this in a regime change. When Brian Kelly came here after Orgeron, the only common denominator in some of this is you. It's you. Guys, you missed a lot of assignments against Ole Miss, Texas A&M, first half against UCLA, and damn near the entire second half against South Alabama. You're missing assignments. And some of these assignments, I would rather them be physical mistakes and physically that you just got beat versus I don't want to continue to hear the head coach of this place saying, well, we're missing assignments. Okay, well then that's a massive problem that can be corrected. If you think that it is assignment missing, then why is it not being corrected? Guys, everybody that was here a year ago, okay, doesn't get a pass based off of the new guys that are coming in. There's one common denominator of you not being prepared for what you did. Guys, you should have scored 23 points in the first half. You scored 17, it should have been 23. At worst, let's just say that you have a half where you get 3 touchdowns, the equivalent of almost 3 touchdowns and a field goal. Every single one of us would have come off in this piece and been like, yeah, all right. If I would have told you a week ago today that LSU, when they needed to come out to a fast start, which they pretty much did, that you would get 24 points in one half to start off a game, you'd be like, shit, we beating the dog shit out of them. You would have been right. But a second half of what I ultimately believe is that you're not prepared. You're not prepared. Who's at the building right now? Who's at the building? Who's got the iPad at home? Thursday night football's on. Maybe your lady's coming over. I don't know what you got going on. But real life is that you got to make priority changes in reference to assignments. Here's what I think along the offensive line to some extent, especially in the interior, it's not necessarily assignment mistakes. It's physical mistakes. And then it's mental mistakes by your run game, whoever is calling the run game. And I say that the way I say it on purpose. Whoever is calling the run game, okay, which who knows at this point, why do you have Trey Green where you have him? Why are you doing some of the things that you're doing? We got to have a better IQ. Brian Kelly said this week that we have smart players. And I agree with him. I think that we do. 100%. I think that we do. Because I've seen them do it. I've seen them sound correct. I've seen them be disciplined. So I know that they can do it. You can't be a very, very smart team as you're characterized as and miss blatant assignments when you've been here for 3, 4, or 5 years. Guys, scheme doesn't change that much depending on who the coordinator is. It doesn't. Like if you got 6 guys in the box and you're running a 4-2, where you need to be, it doesn't change, right? Everybody that's played football knows this. When you have a zone read, the gaps are pretty much the same. Unless you're calling something different, everybody's supposed to have a gap. Everybody's supposed to have a lane. You know, I think of one of my favorite movies of all time. I remember Gordon Bombay in D2, Mighty Ducks Goes to the Olympics, or whatever it was called. When ducks fly in formation and one duck is out of the formation wrong, it reflects and affects the entire flock. That's what's getting you beat. Number 3, what have you done about the turnovers in the run game? I just got done talking about the run game, so let me get to that one really quickly. If you cannot run the football, if you 1000% cannot run the football, which might very well be the case, you might not be able to line up and run the football, then all of these play calls with vertical routes in them, stop calling them on first downs. Stop. If Garrett continues to throw the ball down the field, don't give him a choice. If you're going to go full air raid, you got to go full air raid. Let me explain what I mean by that. Remember the Mississippi State game in 2022? Remember that game? Remember the game in 2020, by the way? Game 1 with Mike Leach? That's the air raid. Now, as time went on, the great and rest in peace Mike Leach would start running the football a little bit more because he could. One way to eliminate these turnovers and stop making boneheaded plays is making one, maybe two reads, and the ball's got to get out, and you telling Garrett that he's got to run it after that. You got to force him to do it. Because you got to start getting positive yardage on first down. If you do not get positive yardage consistently on first down against Alabama, you will get beat. And you haven't in these, you have not been able to do that in these big situations and big games. Guys, did you know the best drives that you have, if you go back and watch it, there's not many outside of the last drive against Ole Miss. There are not a lot of drives that when you've won football games and that you've scored points that you've been 2nd and 7 to 2nd and 10 very often. Hadn't happened. It legitimately has not happened. It would help you eliminate the turnovers. It would. If you go 4 or 5 wide, it's going to help eliminate those turnovers because there's only so much that they can do. There's only so much that they can do. Either they're going to put 4 or 5 wide out and only have 4 guys in the box, then you got to tell Garrett that, hey, listen, we're going to send them all on vert patterns, and if that's how they're going to line up, you got to run the ball for 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, and get down. Don't make them change their game plan. Because, guys, this is what happens. Let's just say you go 4 or 5 wide. Okay? At some point, they're going to put 4, maybe 5 guys in the box. Maybe. When that day comes, and if you did that, and if you do that, you got to tell Garrett that, listen, we're going to clear everybody out. You got to act like that you're going to throw the football and get 5 yards and get down. 2nd and 5. The significance of that is that they got to bring somebody in because they're not going to let you keep doing that. Joe Sloan told, Greg McElroy, that exact point of what Garrett needed to do. And when you went down on that last scoring drive and Garrett got threw the pass to Aaron Anderson to tie it, guys, the best play that you had on that drive was on 3rd and 10. Garrett scrambled and got 12. From a formational standpoint, they moved Chris Pupal, who was outside on the trips right, back into the middle so that he couldn't get the depth on what's going to be an over route to Aaron Anderson later in the game. You got to set things up for down the line. It's going to help you eliminate these turnovers. Now, Garrett can't make boneheaded decisions. What have you done? This is the second bye week now. The first bye week that you had, you did not apparently beat it into his head enough. You cannot turn the football over. As much as we've talked about quarterbacks, and even if it wasn't LSU related, guys, you cannot turn the ball over. So as much as if you're going to throw the ball 50 times a game, if you're going to throw it 50 times a game, there are a couple of things that you got to do here. Aaron Anderson, Mason Taylor, and C.J. Daniels have got to get 8 targets apiece at minimum. That's 24 attempts. 24. Guys, you're in these big games against good teams, you're averaging 50-plus dropbacks a game. 50-plus. So if that's what's going to be again against Alabama, Aaron Anderson cannot have 5 targets with 3 completions. It cannot happen. C.J. Daniels cannot have 4 targets and 3 receptions. And what cannot happen is Mason Taylor, 3 catches, 47 yards with 4 targets. That cannot happen. Guys are open. So it's so funny, man. It's like the reverse of 22. Jaden, throw the ball down the field versus Garrett, check the ball down. It's the reverse. It's a complete reverse. Force him to make those decisions. Force it. Because until you do, until you get some of these other playmakers the ball more, guys, I got to be real with you. I got to be real with you. If Aaron Anderson is not your number 1 wide receiver in a lot of ways right now, then he's a damn strong number 2. Game-tying touchdown against Ole Miss. 75-yard touchdown against A&M. He's not – guys, think about this. If I would tell you that you would have a player that would go over 100 yards in 3 catches and he only had 4 targets, you would blow your mind. The same thing happened when you went away from Aaron Anderson and Kyron Lacy, for what it's worth, against USC. Kyron Lacy has 8 catches or 7 catches in the first half. You don't go back to him in the second half. They were bracket covering him. Okay, so you went to Aaron Anderson, and what happened? Well, he scored a touchdown. Right, he scored a touchdown. Wait, most of those came off of what? Oh. Aaron Anderson touchdown was a throw for 7 yards that he took to the house. Kyron Lacy, of the 7 catches, ran 5 hitch routes, all got first downs. It's very interesting. If you can't run the ball, there's other ways to win. And you got to spread it out. Guys, you're an air raid offense. Newsflash. You're an air raid offense right now. By principle and by overall just volume of throws. You cannot effectively do that as a team if you're not throwing the ball for 7 yards. Law of averages, because you're going to get put in very bad situations on 3rd down. And you can't run the ball on 2nd down because, God forbid, just one time you don't get more than 4 yards, you're in a bad situation. It's a tough place to be in as an offensive lineman. Think about this too. In the first half versus A&M, you had a run for 10 yards, a run for 12 yards, a run for 8 yards, a run for 11 yards, a run for 7 yards, a run for 6 yards, all in the first half against A&M. So the running game really wasn't that bad in the first half, was it? No, it wasn't. But when you start getting predictable, when you start turning the ball over, what have you done to remedy it when you're having issues running the ball? How are you going to change and affect that? I don't know. Number 4, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. Who are the leaders on this team? Blake, it's Will Campbell, Greg Penn, Josh Williams, Will Campbell, Garrett Nussmeier. Are we just labeling them that? You know, in year 1 under Brian Kelly, he had 4 team captains. 4. Every game this year, they've elected new team captains. No. Who are the 3 guys that lead your team? Who are the 3 guys that lead your team? Cortland, I see your comment in here. I never begged for Jaden Daniels to get benched. So if you're directing that at me, please go to any show 2 years ago. Please, dear Lord. I don't think Cortland means me, because there's no way that you've watched a show and said that you got, like he says, you guys begged for this shit 2 years ago. I did not. I did not. Who are the leaders on your team? Because offensively, I don't think that you have one. I don't think that you have one. I think you have a lot of individuals. Guys, the flashiness, the war paint on your face, that don't mean shit. None of that means shit. Only thing that matters is how are you making your team better. Now, when you look good, you look good, you feel like you play good, good for you. Good for you. I don't feel like you have an offensive leader. I feel like overall you have a leader defensively, and it's starting at the top. But right now, offensively, no. You know, when I think of this team's leaders doing it by example, guys, I think of, by the way, and I'm just going to throw this out there. On the forum, our website, ayssnetwork.com/forum, there's an article in there that we published, ironically, on June the 2nd. And in that article, I wrote this seven-sentence paragraph about Brayton Swinson. The offseason didn't lie for him. Guys, every time I picked up the phone and talked to somebody in that building, Brayton Swinson. Okay. Zy Alexander. You know, Zy's got multiple big-time PBUs and situations. He's also been in some big situation intercepting the football. Guys, he intercepted the football for you against South Carolina. He had one against Ole Miss. Got you back in the game. That got you back in the game. That's all we heard about. Both of those two young men were in that article. The small things like jumping off on like offsides or false starting, guys, it's not indicated of you being a leader. You're not focused. All right, number 5. The last thing I'm going to say for this week until and then, going into next week, we're really going to get into Bama and talk about the game and stuff like that. But just as a program, I got to be real with you. I've said it multiple times this week. I'm going to repeat it here. I don't want to go to a Cheez-It Bowl. Love Cheez-Its. Love them. Adore them. Worship them. Grew up on them. My Memo Jewel, who I named my daughter after, by the way, Cheez-It connoisseur. Okay? I don't want to be there as play for the Cheez-It Bowl. I don't think we understand as a fan base right now. I can tell that we don't. Some do, majority does not. So the ones that are going to agree with me on this, you're in the minority. Look what goes on social media. See and read. I tell you that everybody in this meeting, guys, the reason that they identify and talk about stuff that is around the team is because they see what you're going out there and clapping about or mad about. It's all down to this, man. It's all down to this final stretch. You know what you got to do now. You know what you got to do. I equivocated. How do I want to say this? It's the equivalent of an overtime, right? Where you are tied at the end of regulation and you're going into extra play to see who wins the game. But if you lose the game, you would say, well, man, we missed areas here, 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 and here. And we turned the ball over here, 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 and here. So we went into overtime, and that's why we lost the game. When you win, you'd be like, yeah, you know what? We made some mistakes. We found a way to win. And now we're in the big show. Now we're where we need to be. Guys, you make it, overtime is where you make it and break it. That's all Meemaw's saying too. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, and don't make it unless you break it. Or don't break it unless you make it. It's all down to this, man. It's all down to this. You should be a playoff team. I told you in the beginning of the season, guys, this team has the ability to go 10-2. They're going to put themselves in a position to go 10-2. You got a massive game, and Alabama is nobody to sneeze over. They can come in here and beat you. 1,000% can come up here, and I'm going to be honest with you, because I do think that there are some areas they're more physical and their toughness is better than yours, that they can whip your ass. They 100% can come up in here and whip your ass. I don't think that they're going to. I really don't think that they're going to come in here and whip your ass. They're not. There's some areas that concern me, massively concern me. When I watch this team all offseason, I guess I was a little too positive. Guys, you're a playoff team. You can make a playoff. You're on the borderline of making a playoff. That's what we talked about. It all comes down to this, man. It all comes down to this. And let me tell you something too. It does me no favors to say that personally. Because if I come out here and I say that, and then we turn right around and they lose, well, then my show numbers until football that starts up next year are down. So even from a business standpoint, it's horrible for guys like me because you won't tune in as the listener. You won't. You 1,000% won't. You'll tune into the game, you'll watch the game, but you're like, fuck it. Where are you as a program? Boy, it comes down to this, man. It all comes down to this. All right, let me get to a quick break. Going to come back. No, any super chats? No? Okay, we're going to come back. Let me get to a quick break, and then we'll give you week 10 picks. We've been making money around here, so I'll get to those next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Easy Free Bail Bonds, LLC, where they get your feet back on the street. There may come a time where a loved one or yourself is arrested and you don't have enough money to get bail from jail. Easy Free Bail Bonds will assist you in the process of getting bail bonds for your family. These bonds are a way to ensure that you're financially covered when a predicament like an arrest occurs. Easy Free Bail Bonds is located inside the state of Louisiana with an expert team of bondsmen that are available to assist you or your family 24/7. The team is professional and has a high-quality work ethic that will give you nothing but satisfaction. The company takes feedback from past customers in order to better their services and are always looking to accommodate and mold their services that best fit your needs. Remember this number, 985-517-3631. That's 985-517-3631. Because when you need to get back on your feet and back on the street, you know who to call.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
There are two quick things that I need to mention here. I saw a lot of you on Facebook dress up for Halloween today. And I got to tell you this. Some of y'all need Jesus. I saw some of y'all dressing up for Halloween. Some of y'all need Jesus. Some of y'all dressing up like them hoes in the streets. Now, some of you look cool, but some of you need to go to church. You need Jesus now. Jay Mons with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, for the love of LSU, beat Bama. Man, I hope so. Look, guys, again, they beat Bama. Shows like ours make tons of money. Okay? They lose, it's down the shitter until next football season. To some extent. That's why football gets all the traction, man. By the way, I need everybody to do this for you, boy, by the way, too. What are y'all binge watching? Y'all binge watching anything? I kind of got into the Tulsa King a little with Sylvester Stallone, but it's like, what's everybody binge watching? Put it inside the comments. You binge watching anything? What's a good TV series? I haven't watched TV in a while. But I did watch Colin Farrell's Penguin. I've seen that. I like it. It's pretty good. Alex says, This Is Us. J-Mon says Penguin. What are y'all watching? Yeah, Penguin's pretty fire. Colin Farrell's such a good actor, man. Such a good actor. All right. Here are my week 10 picks. Let's run through them really quickly. Your boy's 66-24 on the season nationally. I don't get to pick. I don't do just a conference and pick them. Last year we did the SEC. Well, let me say this. 3 years ago, I made picks in the SEC and I was like 70-12. And I'm like, this shit's too easy because I get all the rent-a-wins. Right? Like all the rent-a-wins come in the beginning of the season. Like when LSU's playing nickels. So we started doing college football as a whole. Miami over Duke. Georgia over Florida. A&M over South Carolina. Ohio State over Penn State. Oregon over Michigan. SMU over Pitt. Indiana over Michigan State. Ole Miss over Arkansas. Vandy over Auburn. And Iowa over Wisconsin. That is going to be our Week 10 picks. I have a good feeling I'm going 8-2 this week. Hopefully 8-2 this week. Got to remain in the lead for my co-host, Joe. Anyway. All right. We'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good night, man. Peace.